Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, October 5th. I hope you're ready to have some tacos because it's Tuesday. Get it? Tacos Tuesday. All right. Yep. Okay. Anyway, moving right along here. This is a look. Well, this actually is a look at the Bitcoin futures continuing to move up here. There is, of course, there was articles released yesterday about the Fed and cryptocurrency and basically moving that along, right? So that if they're looking at how to regulate it or manage it, that means that that gives it legitimacy, continued legitimacy, even though we're going to have a lot of those people. You look at Jamie Dimon, who says, well, it doesn't have any intrinsic value. Wait, okay, yeah, because you can't hold it, you can't touch it, whatever. I totally get that, but the only reason gold has values because that is what we've placed on it, right? So things have value because we give them value, not because they inherently have that value. So maybe a little lesson there for Jamie Dimon to just go ahead and hop on board and move this thing along. And I'm pretty sure if he heard me say that, he'd be like, who the heck are you? I just don't really care what you think. And that is totally fine too, because I don't care what he thinks. No, that's not true. I do care what he thinks, but in this case, I think he's wrong. Okay, so anyway, Bitcoin futures pumping up here a little bit. We have the S&P futures pushing back up. Okay, so what can we take from this, right? We look at this. It's been, honestly, it's been a really rough, I would say, month, right? And we come down and we talked when this happened. We talked about this potentially being the bear flag, right? And it proved to be true. Are we setting up to maybe have another one of those? We really don't know. The market overall, when we look at a much longer term, like here, a 5-year monthly chart, right? Cruising along. This is like a really good market right here. We took a little break up here. We pulled back a bit. And then we took off. This is COVID. This is post-COVID. So bringing us back in line with what maybe would seem to be a more normal trend, somewhere around this trend line, I think isn't unreasonable, but very painful. But that would set us up on a better, longer term track if we can kind of, maybe just flatten out for a little bit and catch up with some of these, with a trend line that is not as severe. Now, that being said, the market can certainly continue to go up, right? What we think or what we feel like the chart should look like does not matter. And remember that when you're trading, what you think doesn't matter. Or what you feel. I shouldn't say what you think. What you feel doesn't matter. It is following the price action, and that's where we really get our best decision making, right? So it's really hard to take those emotions out of it, but that's why it's so important to know your plan before you go in. And you can say, hey, this is my stop out period, and honor that stop. Don't go in and go, well, the market's kind of, and then end up staying in it. It's much better to go ahead and take the stop and then come back into it. So, okay, that's my look here on the ES. All right, so what am I looking for today? Honestly, I'm going to be out today, but if I were here all day, I would still be looking just at some day trades. Unless it's in the energy sector, maybe a little bit more confident in that energy sector. The energy sector has been very strong, and we've talked about it a lot over the last few sessions here about how strong it is. But until we see either a trend change to say, hey, it's time to go long again, or an actual little bit more continuation here where it says, okay, yeah, we're going to start playing that put side of things. I'm going to stick to the day trades just to protect the capital. It kind of makes sense to me here. I do have longer term investments, but when I'm looking at charts for those longer term investments, the daily doesn't really strike me. I always flip back out to the weekly and usually the monthly to show what the overall trend is, and understanding that it's okay to have some red candles. Okay, but here we did catch a pretty nice little spot here. We drew this in yesterday, and it's not exact, but right around that on the SPY, that's going to equate to about 430. That 430 mark, coming back up to that is really it's a good level of support to show some strength, to maybe base out and then continue to move on up. Okay, so Now that we know that I really prefer the day trades, I am going to go through a few that will be awesome for day trades. Let's start here with Facebook. Now, Facebook, it has a lot of negative news, and my concern here really with taking this long to either side is what is going to trickle out now. Kind of like you have that first domino that fell with that whistleblower getting out there on 60 Minutes. Is there a depth there where other people may start stepping up and talking about it? You know, Congress, you know, up on the Hill, they're really all over Facebook, which I kind of find, I don't know, a little rich considering how much they use Facebook to push their individual agendas regardless of what side you're on. So, but there's a lot of actual substance here, and so I think that there could potentially be a bit more downside in Facebook. So why risk it overnight personally? But day trading, you're going to come in here today and you're going to see that we held the close yesterday and we're pushing right back up. I still just don't feel like it's ready to go for a long, and simply because a chart is so beat up, that's not the reason to get in, because it can continue to go down. Roku was one of those here that we kind of have fun in the community talking about, you know, like November that plays this, and you know, it just seems to wallop them. Not always. He made some good plays on it, but he does admit that that's his revenge trade here, and we all have one of these, right? But there's nothing here to say that this is ready to go up, and to say, well, it's just so beat up, sure, but actually look back here, that 270, 240 would be the area to look for a bounce. But anyway, not on my radar today. So just wanted to quickly talk about Facebook. And then yesterday, late in the day, when we ran through Cheddar Flow here to pull up what had the largest volume, Visa had an incredible amount of volume, setting aside the Apples and the Teslas and things like that. Visa kept popping up here, and we came in, looked at it, I'm like, well, I don't know, this kind of looks terrible to me, but except the fact that it dipped below the 200 again, and it has now closed twice up over that 200. So maybe there's something in here as a day trade, more of a bounce. So if you're looking at Visa, you can also look at MasterCard, but I think those two, maybe just take a peek at. No, MasterCard's way below the 200. But Visa here, maybe take a little look at that for a potential day trade. And I would stick at like the 225s or maybe 230s. Okay. Other ones that are moving. Very excited to come back here to Datadog. Relatively, this is a pretty strong chart. So these were the trend lines that we had drawn, and we took some plays on it. Was it last week or week before last? I don't even remember now. But overall, compared to the rest of the market, this has done really well and came right back up, hanging out at the 34. So looking for a move up off of that 34 here today. And I would look at the 140s in that one. We talked about energy being very, very strong here. I would take all of the names, right? You can. When I pulled up my scans, it was filled with oil, gas, and energy names. So any of these, really just take a look, see which one kind of fits your profile, fits what you like to see in the chart, or maybe more importantly, what fits your price point. But all of these just look so good. From the bigger ones to the smaller ones, they just look really nice here. So if you can't decide on that, XLE is a very easy one to trade. It's liquid, and their options are very well priced. So I would come in here and looking at where it is this morning, let me see. Yeah, I would stick at the 55s or the 56s, and that would be in November. And yesterday, those 56s built up a lot of open interest for today. So we were sitting at 79,000, almost 80, or 79.6. So really a lot in here just for the continuation on oil. So take a look at those XLEs. All right, I would look for some reversal trades in both Moderna. Moderna slammed down pretty good yesterday, started fighting its way back up. Look for the continued reversal on that this morning. Actually, it is trading up just a bit. So I would go ahead and take a look. Their options aren't really as great as I would like. They're not quite as liquid as I would like, but the 330 is where I would take a good look there. Where those will be just in the money here this morning because we are trading right at 330, so the top of yesterday's candle. We'll look at BNTX right alongside of that. Merck had the news about their COVID treatment, gapped up. Nothing really exciting in here. We pulled back, but we held a good portion of this candle, so I would take a look and see if we turn this right back around. Again, more of a day trade, but take a look at Merck as well. Again, out in November, and I would take a look at those 85s. The 85s have a real, actually 8250, 85, 8750, all the way out to 90. And those look really good, but I would stick closer to the money. Travel still looking pretty good here, so take a look at those airline names. I kind of like EXPE or Trip. Both of these yesterday really strong. We actually put in not quite an inside candle, but we held the little gap that we had from the other day. So take a look at EXPE. I would take a look at the 170s in November. And net, so really beat up below the 50, but caught here nicely. And again, with the market being kind of yesterday, it closed top side of its candle, built in a little extra volume here. So I would take a look at net, and I would look at those 120s. All right, I would also come back and take a look at some of the retail sectors. We've seen like ASO caught the 50, closed just above the 50 yesterday. DKS really close, touched the 50, actually hit the scan even though it didn't. I don't know why it did. I mean, it went up above the 50, but I don't know why it held on the scan. It didn't close above the 50, but nonetheless brought me back in, almost closed that gap. Didn't quite close the gap the other day, but nice little reversal there in DKS. So take a look at some of those retail names. All right, that is it for me this morning. Again, I will be out today, and I appreciate all of the messages and thoughts and prayers. I will check in later. Remember, let the market, we're up, the Dow futures are up over 150 right now. Let the market prove to you that it's worth your money. Don't get all excited right when the market first opens to get in and then have something pull back. Let the pullback happen, and then if the market continues, then get in. Be really, really selective, because I feel oftentimes what's happening is we, trying to buy the dip or buy the low of the day and finding out that that wasn't actually the low of the day. So just be really cautious and keep your risk or your position sizing a bit lower. Okay, have an awesome day. I will see you later.